All right, and welcome into the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast. It's the Week 4 instant reaction show coming to you live right here on twitch.tv/Fantasy Pros. I'm your sharp-dressed host, Seth Woolcock, and you might be wondering, what's up with the suit? Don't worry, no funeral, no wedding today, just a man sticking to his word. As I promised the Twitch audience back on Friday, I would wear the suit if I got my first dub of the season in the home league. And while it's still up in the air, we're trending in the right direction, boys. Shout out to Ash and Genty for that one. Also joined by a few of the best in the business, including a man I imagine who has quite the suit collection as he studied at institutions like Harvard, Stanford, UPenn, and Vandy. He's an orthopedic sports surgeon and the founder of Sports Med Analytics. He's Dr. Deepak Chona. Doc, thanks for taking some time out of the busy schedule, saving lives, to join us once again. How are you tonight, man?
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here. And I would just say my suit collection does not compare to yours.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, glad to hear that. And we're also joined by my brother, who is has to just be running wide open right now after being up bright and early to continue his streak of never missing a Steelers game live. It's Scott Bogman. Boggs, how many milligrams of caffeine we running on right now, man?
I lost count, man. It's been a lot. I have hit my second wind. I believe I'm on my third wind of the day. I'm not an early bird. I'm a night owl for sure. So getting up early was, you know what? I'll take it. No Christmas game this year. I don't like that. So I'll take the early game once a year, and it's already over, and a bye week next week. We're good.
Absolutely. We move forward here, men. And today's program does look like this. We'll break down the most notable injuries with Dr. Deepak Chona here. And then we'll recap all 12 games from the international early and afternoon slate, letting you know the biggest fantasy football risers and fallers along the way. And before we jump in, shout out to everyone who's rocking and rolling with us on twitch.tv/fantasypros. Please be sure to follow and subscribe for our full selection of live interactive content. And if you're with us on the playback version, either on the YouTube side of things or the audio feed, thank you. We appreciate you. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content, and make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new. And also a quick programming note that starting next week, the recap shows will be back on YouTube live moving forward. Same time, same cast of characters, just a new home for the live stream. So, gentlemen, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into Week 4 injuries. And Deepak, we can't bury the lead here. New York Giants wide receiver Malik Nabers carted off with a knee injury. Is this what many people are fearing here, Deepak, where it is a torn ACL? And what does that mean for the rest of the LSU's wide receivers' second season in the pros?
Yeah, you're right. It did look like an ACL. You saw the knee bend. It was internally rotated, and then it kind of snapped a little bit. They're saying they fear an ACL, and usually you can tell in the locker room just on physical exam. They'll confirm it probably tomorrow with an MRI. Now, the key here is that it was essentially a non-contact mechanism, and that does bode a little bit better for his recovery because it implies less energy went through the knee than the ones who got heavily kind of hit from the side. So the non-contact ACLs we've seen recently are going to be your Stephon Diggs, who returned week 1, your Christian Watson, who they're saying is kind of ahead of schedule or right on track. And your contact ACLs are going to be more like the Brandon Ayuk's, who they're saying is not necessarily on his way back immediately and has an additional damage in the knee. So from that perspective, we can't guarantee it, but we'd suspect on the cleaner side of an ACL tear, his season is basically over. And with that, though, the average return timeline is about 10 to 11 months. Younger players and highly, highly athletic players have a little bit faster return to their pre-injury level of performance. So in Malik Nabers' case, he, of course, fits all of that criteria. We would expect a bit of a performance dip. You're probably not going to see the top 3 to 5 wide receiver immediately. And usually when players come back, they're looking at about a 4-game ramp up in terms of their snap shares and their touches, which is kind of what we're seeing with Diggs right now, actually. And so with all that in mind, I would expect Malik Nabers to be having a very good chance to be active by week 1. I would expect him by the sort of week 6 to 8 timeline to be looking a lot like himself. And year 2 post-injury, you basically would expect no lasting deficit. But the early phase of this next year may be a little bit up and down.
Boggs, obviously, there's no replacing Malik Nabers in your fantasy lineup. I mean, a first-round value in most PPR drafts. And at the same time, though, we had Jackson Dart out there slinging it around, running around, looking good in his first start. What does this do for the rest of the Giants players that do remain on the active roster right now?
It hurts, man. because that's your best player. That's your best player on offense. So, it lowers everybody's ceiling, I feel like, a little bit. Now, the one guy that might help would be Scatterboo, just because he's probably going to see more touches now because of it. But everyone else should see more touches. I think Wandale, Darius Slayton, Theo should get involved more. And hopefully there's another option that arises through the mess, right? So we'll see what happens. But right now, I'd say a little tick up in volume for everybody. But I mean, he clears out a lot of the defense for those underneath routes for Wandale and a lot of the trash in the middle for Cam to run through as well. So it's going to be tough running for the Giants without their best player.
Deepak, obviously kind of hard to project into 2026 ADP and what the draft price might be for Malik Nabers. But if it is, let's say an early third round, late second round pick, is that a price you'd probably be fading just with him having a couple games to get back up into speed? Like you said, week 6, week 8 is maybe when we see the true Malik Nabers that we've seen.
I think the upside is so heavy that round 3, I would take him.
Okay.
Round 2, now you're starting to compare him to like your Devon Achans maybe. And I would probably lean that way for the at least early to mid round 2, but I suspect you could probably get him round 3 next year in some leagues, and that would be, I think, worth taking.
Great. Glad to hear that.
Let me ask you real quick, Deepak. When should we know, because we get reports in the offseason of, blah, 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 is ahead of schedule. This guy's ahead of schedule. Are those real? Or are those hey, he's doing okay, but we have no idea until we get to camp?
Yeah, it's a good question. And actually what we find is that the correlation of the reports of ahead of schedule with them actually being ahead of schedule is almost zero. So the objective indicator really doesn't come until they start training camp and you see how much time they're spending out there. And then when the preseason participation and the practice reports start getting more objective, that's when you'll really see, is he on track or ahead of schedule? Again, you're looking at a 10-month average recovery, and by basically having the injury at the beginning of the season this year, you would expect him to be pretty much ready to go by training camp, or at the very least by the beginning of the regular season. But I don't think you're going to hear any meaningful reports in the meantime.
Okay.
Fantastic. Also here, Deepak, Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, he exited late in the third quarter with a hamstring injury. I know this happened late in that one, but Deepak, any info on what we can expect from Lamar?
Yeah, so you're looking at an average with a hamstring of 2 to 3 weeks. The key with this is that they have a bye coming up. So they have 2 games and then the bye week. It makes you think that perhaps they would be on the more conservative side. The reason being that Lamar is a speed player. He needs his hamstring actively firing pretty much every play to protect himself at the very least, even if he's not scrambling. And the re-aggravation risk on these, if you rush him back, is pretty high. Now, the Ravens were getting handled. With that being said, in the third quarter, you would usually still see a player like him come back if they were really trying to get after it and compete. So with that in mind, it makes you think that injury itself is somewhat real. Again, average being 2 to 3 weeks, we would expect about that timeline, but we really can't tell until we get the practice reports here.
Boggs, are you still starting Zay Flowers or Mark Andrews without Lamar Jackson out there?
I'm going to try not to if I can avoid it. And I'm with Deepak, right? This was a blowout. So I think your initial thought process is, they're getting killed, but they were still in this game. It was late in the third, but they were still definitely in this game. They even talked about it on the broadcast. They're saying, hey, look, they're not out of this yet. So it's pretty clear to me that Harbaugh thought that Lamar could not protect himself. So they're not going to let him out there until they feel like that's right. And I think usually they push these guys, I think 1 week, 2 weeks, if it's not that bad. But of course, we're going to know a lot more tomorrow after they do tests and all that.
Yeah, I would be interested in looking back at what some of CeeDee Lamb's game logs were like with Cooper Rush at quarterback, because I think Zay might still be usable, but Mark Andrews is certainly kind of down in the pecking order as he was. And, I think he'll continue to trend that way. Also, we had Ricky Pearsall here, Deepak. He exited with a knee injury. We saw him working on the bike on the sideline. Any information on what it is with Ricky Pearsall that he's dealing with?
They haven't announced much. Now, he was dealing with a knee coming into this game, actually. And then it looks like, my guess is a re-aggravation, but you would suspect he'd be on the milder side because he's on the bike during the game on the sideline. Didn't look like he came back or was imminently coming back. and they were very much in this game when he was injured. So with that in mind, I think he does have a reasonable shot at playing again next week, but there's some risk involved here, and specifically the risk I would be thinking of is re-aggravation going forward. So we would have to follow the practice reports. My guess is you see a couple of limited practices and he probably suits up next week, but we just have to see this one, and they'll probably get some tests tomorrow.
Atlanta Falcons wide receiver Darnell Mooney also exited with a hamstring injury. Is this kind of similar to that Lamar Jackson diagnosis, similar timeline for a return as well, Deepak?
Very similar. Again, average being 2 to 3 weeks. The severity on these hamstring strains really varies. So when they get the MRI, they really start to know. You also have to think it's a little bit more pressing for a wide receiver than in general for a quarterback, just because there's very limited ability to run explosively and sprint. Specifically is where you see the limitation with a hamstring. So wide receivers have a little higher re-aggravation risk, as you can imagine, than a quarterback would. So they'll probably be a little careful, especially because Mooney had the shoulder injury to start the season and just working him back in.
Okay. Also, Pittsburgh Steelers running back Jaylen Warren, he was out with a knee injury in that international game. This was a pretty slightly surprising inactive for a lot of people. Kind of caught some managers off guard with their pants down if they aren't using that Fantasy Pros autopilot tool, like we highly recommend you do. So, Deepak, what can you tell us about when we might see Jaylen Warren next?
I would suspect you see Jaylen Warren in their next game. Now, he was added to the report a little bit late, and then Schefter reported on Saturday night that Warren was expected to play, and then it was a last-minute scratch. So usually when that happens, the Schefter reporting is obviously pretty accurate, but usually it means that he tested something pregame. It didn't quite feel right or wasn't quite suitable or explosive enough, and that implies that he's pretty close. So with that in mind, I would expect to see him out there next game.
Boggs, Kenneth Gainwell, obviously the current RB1 in fantasy this week, 31.4 PPR points. Does this have you ranking, if Warren is out, like he is the clear number 2 rest of season, regardless of if Warren's in or out? Like Caleb Johnson, I know people went to the waiver wire to pick him up this weekend. Can we kind of throw that out and it is Kenny Gainwell's job?
Yeah, I think you can for the foreseeable future, right? Like I want Caleb to become a thing, and I think it's nice that he at least got the opportunity to play a little bit in this game, and he looked okay. But he is well behind Kenny Gainwell right now.
Okay. Also, real quick before we get you out of here, Deepak, Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Chris Godwin, he returned against the Eagles, saw 10 targets, didn't have a ton of production with it, 3 receptions, 26 yards. What can you tell us about the former Penn State Nittany Lion, and what's the ramp-up process look from here on out?
It's a great question. So tomorrow the snap share numbers are going to come out, and I think that'll be informative. But the 10 targets is pretty huge, especially in the absence of Mike Evans for a couple of weeks. So with his production, you usually see a pretty significant dip with these ankle fractures. We saw it with Mark Andrews. We've seen it with Isaiah Pacheco.
Right.
And with that in mind, Chris Godwin had the extended recovery time. He
58 of 72 snaps, just to throw that out there.
58 of 72 is pretty high. The 10 targets is also pretty high. With that in mind, though, the ramp-up period usually takes 4 to 6 weeks for them to get their efficiency back. Now, if Godwin had a perfectly smooth recovery, the data would have projected him at 12 months getting back to his pre-injury baseline, or at least within 90% of it. But that would have been week 8, which is when he got injured. So you're looking at a few weeks from now still where he would be expected to have that dip. Now, also keep in mind, even if his second surgery was minor, it was still a second surgery and therefore has a recovery involved.
Okay.
So I would expect that to be maybe a little more prolonged. It's hard to sort of quantify it because we don't have a ton of data on 2 surgery ankle fractures coming back. But certainly I was optimistic after seeing what Godwin came into today, and they obviously trust him. So with that in mind, I do expect by the end of the season, Godwin to be worth like a stash on your bench. And maybe this is the week you pick him up and just see if you can hold him long enough for him to be valuable. So I do think he's coming back to close to his pre-injury form, but probably not for several weeks.
Everything has been surprising about Godwin. Like the injury looks so bad. And then they said, he's ahead of schedule. And they were actually telling the truth. Like they gave him the contract too, which was crazy. And then they drafted Igbukah, which was like, well, okay, maybe not. And then his first week, 58 to 72, which I think is probably more out of necessity because no Mike Evans and they were losing against the Eagles the entire game. That's probably where the 10 targets came from. But it has been one of those just weird. He may be a freak even with a terrible injury.
Yeah, you make a great point there. And I think your objective indicators, if we throw out their comments, your objective indicators are they drafted Ibuka. They knew Godwin was not going to be great early. But then also they gave him the big contract. And that knowing that he probably would recover all the way. So the injury reporting, I think, truly was a little bit misleading in that they said he dislocated his ankle but didn't break anything. But actually, it turns out he did fracture. So that, and then the second surgery, but then them saying he's just as according to plan, but that's not really ever according to plan, truthfully. So I think the reporting is a little misleading and the comments are maybe intentionally misleading, but the objective indicators suggest that he would be back eventually as their expectation. So I do have optimism for him late.
Boggs, rest of season Bucks wide receivers rank them. Is it a Buka, Evans, Godwin, assuming Evans is healthy in a couple weeks?
I still think it's there, and I still think it's razor thin between Ibuka and Evans when Evans comes back because he's, Hall of Famer. So, but I think they're all really good and very valuable moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, make sure you guys check out the rest of Deepak's work at SportsMD Analysis on Twitter. Deepak, thanks for joining us, man. Anything else you have going on that we should be aware of?
Pretty much Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're trying to hit it all, and now we're getting on TikTok a little bit for the younger crowd. So hit us up anywhere and let us know how we're doing. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'm sure you'll crush it on TikTok. You're a very good-looking gentleman. Keep those DMs closed, though. Keep those DMs closed. We don't need any ladies sliding in there. Yes, all right, that's the wonderful Dr. Deepak Chona. Boggs and I will be right back with a couple game recaps coming your way right after a quick message about our Discord community at fantasypros.com/chat.
Yeah, we're all passionate about fantasy football, obviously. But sometimes there is a little bit missing. What's missing? A team. But not your fantasy team. No, a team of like-minded, passionate fantasy football fans. And if that is not part of your everyday, Fantasy Pros Discord might be your answer. Chat with other fans, debate strategies, and find leagues to join. Every week, get your questions answered live in our AMA live Discord sessions. Want to know if you should start that sleeper or avoid a risky trade? Our experts, they're here to help. And if you got a question, you might even end up on a podcast. It's not just about advice, though. It's about community, with channels for every aspect of fantasy football, draft advice, waivers, props to dynasty, best ball, and a ton more. You're going to find like-minded fans just like you. So join the best fantasy team. Join Fantasy Pros on Discord at fantasypros.com/chat today. Get your questions answered and connect with fans. Don't just play fantasy football, live it with Fantasy Pros on Discord.
And just a quick reminder that we partnered with Pristine Auction to give away a DJ Moore signed Bears mini helmet. Whether you're a Bears fan, that's a tough scene, or maybe you just love collecting NFL gear like myself, this is a must-have addition to your shelf. To enter, just leave a comment on any of our Twitch streams this week at twitch.tv/fantasypros. And as always, Twitch subs, you're going to get a 1.5 times odds boost at winning, just as a thank you for your support to the channel. We'll be announcing a winner on Tuesday, September 30th. So just a few more days to get entered, guys. Make sure you're leaving those comments today. And let's get to the game recaps. And we'll start in Dublin, where the Pittsburgh Steelers defeat the Minnesota Vikings 24-21. This was a game where we saw quite a bit of offense from two teams that are traditionally known as, great defensive teams. Aaron Rodgers gets his first international dub and was efficient in doing so. 18 of 22 for 200 yards passing. As a result, DK Metcalf went bananas, 126 yards and a touchdown on 5 receptions, mostly in that first half. We also already saw that Kenneth Gainwell went off 99 rushing yards, 19 attempts, 2 scores, and 6 receptions for 25 yards. Any fantasy takeaways for our Steelers, Bogman?
I mean, it was nice seeing Gainwell perform well and seeing Caleb Johnson out there. DK got his. I think the big takeaway, though, is that Darnell Washington was used way more than Jonnu or
Jonnu a little banged up coming into the week, I think, as part of that.
Sure. Only 13 snaps for him, 53 snaps total for the Steelers, and he only ran 10 routes. But Darnell had 16. Pat had 15 snaps.
Wow.
So he had fewer snaps than Darnell had routes.
Yeah.
So interesting way
weird.
that they changed that up there. Probably something to deal with that blitz from Minnesota. I don't expect it to be, consistent. You're not starting Steelers tight ends right now anyway, but that was definitely weird. But it was nice to see Gainwell be like, we know who the handcuff is now for Warren. It's definitely Gainwell.
Yep. Meanwhile, for the Vikings, Carson Wentz, he was playing from behind in a majority of this game. That led to some big days for his pass catchers. Justin Jefferson, 11 targets, 10 receptions, 126 yards. And then Jordan Addison, welcome back, man, off the suspension. 8 targets, 4 receptions, 114 yards. This did lead to a slow day from Jordan Mason, though. 16 rush attempts, 57 rushing yards on the ground, and then just 3 for 15 through the air. So 2 questions for Minnesota here, Boggs. One, is Justin Jefferson actually better off with Wentz under center here? Is this maybe a sell high opportunity? And did we miss the sell high window on Jordan Mason last week?
I don't think I would sell high on anybody here. Like, I think that Mason is still going to be the back. Now, it's not going to be the full Omari and Hampton type workload that we saw because Xavier Scott came in and saw a lot of passing work, caught a touchdown as well. So I think they're kind of developing these roles with Aaron Jones out, and it's going to be Mason as your lead back with Xavier Scott in your 2-minute and your passing downs. So that's what it looks like right now. Jefferson was fine. And they're going to pass the ball a lot. It's KOC, right? That this offense is going to keep passing it. And I really like that they just threw Addison right into the fire, 73 to 76 snaps. So right back in there and had that big one, not fast enough to outrun Peyton Wilson, but very, very good day for Addison on his one big catch at least.
Yeah, real quick reminder, too, to everyone that if you do have questions for us, we'll try to make some time at the end of the program. Can't promise anything, but if we do have a couple extra minutes, we'll try to get to those. And let's go ahead, Boggs. Let's get to Orchard Park, where the Buffalo Bills, they beat the New Orleans Saints 31-19. Did not cover that huge line, though, that was hanging out there. The Saints did hang around in this one, I think, a lot longer than most people would have expected. However, we saw the wheels start to fall off. One, Jawan Johnson, 3 receptions, 28 yards. Chris Olave salvaged his day with a touchdown. I think the intriguing thing about the Saints, though, is the backfield here for fantasy, Boggs. Kendra Miller outscored Alvin Kamara 13.4 to 11.5 PPR points, but Kamara did still outsnap him 49 to 21. So any concerns for Kamara or other Saints skill position players?
I'm not too concerned for Kamara. I don't like that Kendra is getting more involved. Great touchdown run by him, though. I mean, it really was a good run from him, but the old coaching staff didn't like him because availability is the best ability, and I just assume he's going to get hurt at some point. It's been that way his entire career. Maybe he just didn't like the old coaching staff. Maybe that was part of it, but I don't expect him to stick around very long. But he looked good today, so that was very nice. But the Buffalo side of this game was a little bit weird as well because Jackson Hawes, another tight end situation that was strange. He played more snaps than Knox and Kincaid. Now, he ran fewer routes, but Knox didn't have a catch, and Knox had a couple more snaps than Kincaid as well. So just a weird third leg jammed into that Bill situation. That wide receiver room continues to be, overturning. This week it was Shakir with the touchdown. Coleman had more snaps, but Samuel was in there. So that was strange. So that continues to be weird. And James Cook with an elite level workload at this
22 for 117 and 1 on the ground.
He's not giving Ty Johnson or Ray Davis anything the last 2 weeks. Why? James Cook is awesome. He's one of the best running backs in the league right now.
Where would you rank him rest of season among running backs?
I mean, I think you got to put him in that elite tier, right? Like you got to he's probably top 5 at this point right
Bijan,
now.
A healthy CMC, James
and
Cook, probably.
Gibbs, and then Cook.
Yeah.
I think he's in that group.
And then probably a couple of the rookies, I
might put him ahead of Achane at this point. The offense is way better.
100%, easily, I actually was looking around. I was sniffing the prop markets earlier this week. Can I get a Ray Davis line maybe for rushing attempts or rushing yards, Boggs? Because we've seen so many, backup running backs play cleanup duty for their teams against the Saints. It's like, maybe we can get some value there. Luckily,
I lost money on that one last week.
Yeah, okay.
On Thursday Night Football. I thought it
okay.
was going to be well over 5.5 carries. He had 1 snap, I think. So these dudes just are not playing behind Cook. Cook is too good.
Other than like Shakir's always kind of been like a floor flex play. Are we back to Keon Coleman just being a risky flex play, 3 for 45 now?
Yeah, he's going to be an injury or a bye week option only right now.
Yeah, I hope you guys maybe sold high after week 1 here. Let's move down south here where the Houston Texans, they picked up their first win of the season, 26-0 over the Tennessee Titans. I thought this would be a huge game for the Houston Texans on the ground. Therefore, I bet the over on Nick Chubb's rushing yards. He actually hit that over. That got called back as well. So added that to another bad beat for the Card Bogs. But this actually was the day for Woody Marks just to come out, man. Outsnapped Nick Chubb 40-30, 17 carries for Woody Marks versus Chubb's 13, 69 yards on the ground and a score, plus 4 for 50 and 1 through the air. Is this Woody Marks' day, and is he now the Texans running back to roster the rest of the way?
I think he is. I'll say this, and maybe we should ask Deepak, but we've heard nothing about Joe Mixon, right? Like, there's just, it's radio silence on Joe Mixon. So assuming there's just no Joe Mixon, it's headed towards Marks. I'm a little surprised by this, not because I don't think Marks is good. I just thought, Nick Chubb is the vet and all of that, but he outsnapped him by 10. It was 40-30.
Marks looked good, man.
In Marks' favor, he looks better, and he ran 16 routes, only 9 for Chubb. So, Dare's not getting in here. So, man, I think it is Woody. I think it's time for Woody to take over this backfield, and he's rostered well over 50%, but if you're in one of those leagues where he just hasn't been picked up yet, and you have some, somebody to toss on the end of your bench, do it. Get him. He's the lead back right now. He's
a strong flex play moving forward with that receiving upside. I think now Nick Chubb really is just at the point where he's a roster clogger, and like if you need a desperation, plug and play RB2 or long range flex play, really. It sucks. But for the Titans, though, the leading scorer was Tony Pollard with just 10.6 fantasy points. Boggs, with how bad the Titans are playing, like I didn't think it would be this bad, man. Can you start anyone other than Pollard as a floor RB2 moving forward?
You're trying not to. I mean, the schedule relents a little bit, right?
It does,
you get the Cardinals and the Raiders, because they start out with a bad beat. Also, you go Broncos, Rams, Colts, who are surging, and then the Texans defense. So that's a rough start for Cam Ward. So I think things are going to get better. But I mean, you can't start Calvin Ridley right now. Calvin Ridley was down to just above 50% of the snaps in this game.
Wow.
A.M. Maynard had 41 of 50. Lockett had more than Ridley, 36. And then Ridley had 27 and only ran 13 routes. So I don't know if he's fallen out of favor with the staff or if he got banged up and came back in. I didn't see all of this game, but that is not good. And the connection is even worse. So I thought it was going to turn around, but I might be breaking up with Calvin Ridley here. So.
Yeah. I was actually trying to buy him low coming into this week, knowing he wouldn't have a big week this week, but for a future day. And I don't know about that now. And dude, like, I think I'm worried about Cam Ward, like even from like a super flex perspective. Like I've been rolling out running backs and receivers over him because you just can't trust him in super flex either.
I think it's going to get better the first month of his season, plus a brutal schedule, but there's no guarantees. So I think it's okay to get worried.
In Detroit, the Lions get to 3-1 with a big 34-10 win over the Cleveland Browns. Detroit didn't need a ton of offense in this game, just 277 total yards as the Browns turned the ball over game short fields 3 separate times. It was another big game for Jahmyr Gibbs, 17.7 PPR points. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 26 fantasy points on another 2 touchdowns for this guy. However, we did see the floors of David Montgomery, 1.2 fantasy points after that big week number 3. And then Jameson Williams also 5.7 fantasy points. The Browns fantasy options really kind of stunk up the show, except for Quinshon Judkins, 21.5 fantasy points, 21 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown, plus 4 receptions and 33 yards through the air. What are the fancy takeaways here from Cleveland against the Lions, Boggs?
Are we done worrying about Amon-Ra St. Brown now, Sethy? We're done with that, right?
That was my worst preseason call. That and my fate of JT. They were 2 of my biggest bust calls, and they are not looking good.
Yeah. So Detroit is Detroit. Like Montgomery back to obscurity. He has to make more on few touches like he did last week. He didn't do it this week. So he's just a tough week-to-week start. With the Browns, you're right. It was Judkins was the only show in town. I mean, even Fannin played 1 more snap than Njoku here and is just becoming the second option in terms of the pass game for this team. It goes now Judy, Fannin, and then Judkins, it
Right.
seems. But yeah, and Judkins is great, but Judkins seems like the only guy that you can legitimately start every single week. Even the tight ends are eating into each other, right? Give Fannin all the snaps he wants. He still only had 2 catches for 24 yards, and Njoku had 2 for 11. That stinks. So, yeah, for the Browns right now, it seems like the only really rosterable guy or startable guy is Judkins. And then, man, Judy is just back to his ways.
He'll have a
I'm just never
30-point
gonna
game
draft
at some
this guy
point.
again.
Yeah, he'll put a 30-point performance up at some point, but
Yeah, he'll get
will you start him?
40% of his production over 2
Right.
weeks, and then everybody will be like, hey, look, he's average. Yeah, no, he's really good twice, and then he sucks every other week. So
Yeah.
sick of Jerry Judy.
Yeah, I think we're dropping Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford at this point then,
They're
unless a
done.
suspension comes. Yeah.
They're getting nothing. It was 18 snaps for Ford and 9 for Sampson, and Judkins had 39 and 21 carries. Judkins had more carries than Ford or Sampson had snaps. So,
Wow.
yeah, they can go.
Just crazy. The Atlanta Falcons, they bounced back at home with a 34-27 win over the Washington Commanders. Massive fantasy days once again for Bijan Robinson, 21, 28.1 PPR points. Drake London adds 25 as well. Even got Kyle Pitts in on the action with 18 fantasy points. For the Commanders, no J.D. Honey, no Terry McLaurin. So this led to a big game for Deebo Samuel, 20.1 PPR points on just 9 touches. The backfield, though, Boggs, for Washington continues to be an absolute disaster.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to continue to be that. C-Rod, 20 of 57. Bill, 20 of 57. McNichols, 19 of 57. It is a true 3-headed monster. You want the person that scores a touchdown every week, and no one scored a touchdown this week. So, and this is without Terry McLaurin, right? Like, so there's a little bit of the ball to go more to everybody. And it just went to Deebo, 6 for 72 in the score for him. McCaffrey had the touchdown. Don't expect that to happen a bunch of weeks, but he scored 2 weeks in a row. So nice to see that. But yeah, man, Drake London and Kyle Pitts were good, but Mooney got hurt. Ray didn't play well, and Mariota was in there for Washington as well. So hopefully things will look better. I would like to see Bill get a full workload. I just don't know when that comes. So
Yeah, same.
He's tough to start right now until they start giving him more touches.
If this is a 3-headed monster, it's like Mike Wazowski's, right? Like it's not a scary monster by any means.
It's all the one with its tongue sticking out and doing the cross eyes.
Yes.
Like it's all that monster.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And also, I think it seems like maybe Luke McCaffrey might be an interesting plug-and-play guy if you need someone out there on the waiver wire. And don't miss out on snagging potential difference makers like him. Use the Waiver Central tool at fantasypros.com/myplaybook or on the Fantasy Pros app to instantly view suggestions on who you should add or drop to your team today. And Boggs was one of those interesting things with McCaffrey. He didn't get the targets we wanted, did find the end zone once again. But if there's no Noah Brown for a little while, if we can get J.D. Honey back and no McLaurin, he might be a guy you can throw out there in a flex.
Yeah, if McLaurin's going to miss more time, then absolutely. Yeah, he'll be involved for sure. So just have to see what's going on with McLaurin. But the skill is there.
Yeah.
He's just buried.
Yeah. The Eagles, they also survived the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-25. Pretty rough day for Philly pass catchers again, aside from Dallas Goedert, who had 2 touchdowns. The Bucs skill players, they continued to deliver, though. Bucky, 15 for 63 on the ground, 5 for 102, and 1 on the air attack as well. And then Emeka Egbuka, 4 for 101 and 1 on 10 targets. We talked about Chris Godwin, not a lot of production, but the opportunity was there with 10 targets. Any fantasy takeaways here for what was a really fun game between 2 of the NFC's best here, Boggs?
Man, I wish this was more fun for A.J. Brown. This is 3 of 4 weeks. He's been miserable.
We had to sell high last week. I really thought so, man.
Yeah, I wasn't into it. And I still kind of am not, but 3 of 4 weeks has been bad. This is
Did
what
you
I
see the
thought.
tweet he put out as well?
I didn't see that. What did he say?
Basically like a subtle tweet, like when they say they don't want you or need you to.
Was it a book?
It was like a quote from a book. Yeah, it was basically saying like they don't need me or want me, and like take it as for what it is.
Oh, he's such a crybaby. He's the biggest crybaby. In
Squeaky
the league.
wheel gets the oil game next week. Better Brown overs.
Easily could.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you need to keep a guy like that happy. As whiny as he is, he's a great player. So I would expect them to do better with that next week. But it's one of those things, and it's kind of the Brown situation as well. Like, if they don't have to pass the ball, they're not going to. It's just they're not going to risk it. If you don't have to, why would you? Just keep handing the ball to Saquon. So, they got up big and kind of sat on their lead for a little bit. So that's why you see 40 attempts for Mayfield, because they were down the whole game, and 10 targets and only 3 catches for Godwin. I can't wait to see how many of those were actually catchable. I'm going to guess it was 5. So we'll see when we get those numbers. But yeah, rough day for everyone there. All the pass catchers in Seattle that weren't named Goddard, but who got the 2 scores. But Egbuka with the big game. I expect more of that moving forward without Evans.
Agreed. Let's go to New England, where the Patriots smacked down the Carolina Panthers 42-13. I tweeted out earlier, I think Drake May is a top 5 quarterback rest of season. Sensational day for him. 14-17 through the air, 203 and 2 passing touchdowns. Also got involved on the ground again, 3 for 11 with a rushing score. We did see a lot of Ramondre and Antonio Gibson in this backfield, more than I think a lot of people wanted. Trayvon Henderson did find the end zone for the first time in his rookie season, but still very much a committee there. Stephon Diggs is looking like he's working his way back towards his usual self. 6 for 101 on 7 targets. Hunter Henry, another score for him on 2 for 39 as well. Let's start with the Patriots before we talk about the absolute mess that was the Panthers. Bogman, do you like what you're seeing from Drake May? Do you agree he's the top 5 rest of season quarterback? And what do you think of these other players as well?
I mean, the only thing that's missing for Drake May is, elite weapons. That's what he needs. And he's got one of them, and they're not giving him the ball enough in Trey Henderson. I just don't understand why, with the fumbles and all that stuff, we aren't seeing Henderson just a little bit more, because this rotation was still.
He can pass block too. That's the crazy thing to me.
29 snaps for Stevenson, 15 for Henderson, and 9 for Gibson. So it's still a disgusting mix of 3 guys, and Stevenson still getting the most, even after the 2 fumbles, which, they gave 1 touchdown to Henderson, but they gave 1 to Gibson. So it's just still a mess there. I was really pleased to see Diggs kind of coming around. It's still Booty with more snaps, 34-31, but great to see Diggs coming around, and another decent day for Hunter Henry with the touchdown as well, and had one right at the goal line. He just barely missed the second one. I think Gibson got that one. So Hunter Henry still a decent option at tight end.
For Carolina, this was a pretty awful game. Bryce Young eventually pulled from this one when they were out of it. Same with Chuba. He rode the pine for a little bit. Tedero McMillan, 4 for 62 on 8 targets. So that was solid in a game where I wasn't sure if I wanted to start T-Mac just because he had an injury coming into it. I wanted to point out, though, I think the one thing with Carolina here is, yes, like people are going to look at the box score box. They're going to see Trevor Etienne got some run in this one. That was garbage time, realistically. But Rico Dowdle, 10 touches again for him. He's looking very much as efficient as Chuba's been so far this season. I think Rico Dowdle is someone we should probably have on rosters, despite what happens here in Carolina over the next few weeks, at least just to see as a stash.
I don't mind. If you have a spot, I don't mind him as a stash. I would say he's probably more of a radar player than a pickup player. Mainly because Chuba was banged up coming into this one.
Yes.
Right. So Chuba was announced active late, this morning, last night, however you want to say it. And so he was a little gimpy, and then they got down. So I wouldn't read too much into that. I still think Chuba's the man, but I think Rico was completely underutilized by the Cowboys last year. I think he's a better back than a lot of people give him credit for. And I think you're going to see Trevor Etienne getting mixed in here and go, well, what do I need Dowdle for then? But this was because the game was completely out of hand, and even Andy Dalton was in. So I'm with your initial thought on there of at least having Dowdle on the radar.
Yeah. Let's go to the Giants and the Chargers here, Bogman, where the G-Men, they get the upset 21-18 over the undefeated Los Angeles Chargers. It was a game in which Jackson Dart, I think, really had to bob and weave his way around, right? It wasn't pretty at times. He was under a lot of pressures, 5 sacks on him. But at the same time, he handled himself. He was composed, 10 for 54 on the ground and a score, which is great for fantasy. Not the best day through the air. It's just 111 yards. But, losing your number one mid-game does not help that by any means. But I think the takeaway here is, again, it's Cam Scadaboo's backfield right now, especially without Tyrone Tracy. 27 touches, Bogman. 27 touches. Wasn't necessarily efficient, but the Chargers do have a pretty good, front four there. I think that would keep them up. So, Cam Scadaboo right now, I mean, he's an auto start with that much volume.
Yeah. So happy to be right about Scatterboo, right? So
You took a lot of shrapnel on the internet for your love for him.
And I'm walking through it now. We're shredding all of it. So
yeah, baby.
He has looked great. I think losing Nabers is a massive hit for this offense, and really a horrible blow to the start of Jackson Dart's career, because that is your best target.
Yep.
That's the guy who had 170 targets, set the rookie record, all of that
Yep.
last year. So it's a massive blow to them. But I got to say, Seth, I am actually more concerned about a player on the other side of this game. Cam Scatterboo was great.
Yep.
You know who it is, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about the Chargers, man. It was a really tough day for Justin Herbert. I really, really like what the Giants are starting to do. They're mixing all these talented, pass rushers around, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and of course, Abdul Carter, playing him inside, outside. I think it really got to Justin Herbert. We did see an injury to his top offensive tackle, Joe Alt. He went down, so that could spell a little bit of trouble. Omarion Hampton looked awesome, 12 carries, 128 yards, and one. Also had some nice work through the passing game, 5 for 37 on 5 targets. Quinton Johnston continued to be elite, 8 for 98 and 1 on 13 targets, just a massive share there. Keenan Allen, who was my anytime touchdown call this week, 5 for 37, 7 targets. And then I think it's Ladd McConkey, who's who you're circling here, Boggs.
Yeah.
Just really disappointing, 6 targets. He has not had any red zone targets coming into today. I don't know if he got any today, but just 1 for 11. The panic meter is here. It's real. I saw a lot of people in the internet, in the industry taking shrapnel on the internet this weekend just for saying, hey, that it might be QJ Keenan, Ladd in that order rest of season. Do you see it that way? And what's kind of your analysis on the fall off here for Ladd McConkey?
I still think the wide receivers are probably going to change, but it's hard to sit here and say that when it's Quinton Johnston with a bullet so far this season, right? He's been the guy. So I think just going into the year, and this is one where, I'll give you a hard time and say, are you still worried about Amon St. Brown? But you could throw it right back to me and be like, hey, Bogman, are you actually worried about Ladd McConkey yet? Because this is a guy I haven't been worried about. I still think he's the best wide receiver on this team. But I think they need to set him up better, and it's tough right now. And I think Hampton is still that's your number one guy now. Yeah. And I mean, he played so many snaps this week. It was 56 of 63, and the 7 snaps he missed were shared between Haskins at 5 and Vidal at 10, or Vidal at 2. So it's Hampton all the way through, but Ladd McConkey is rough right now. I would say I'm still buy low. I don't know if I would sell low, though. Are you going to sell low on Ladd?
I don't actually have a lot of Ladd because I do have him in best ball. But I pulled off him in redraft because when Keenan Allen came to this team, man, I realized that the path for Ladd having 130, 150 targets is not there. And I wasn't even factoring the Quinton Johnston emergence either.
Nobody was.
No,
not a single person was, because he couldn't catch the football until this year. He could do all the rest. He could get open and all that, but you start ignoring a guy when he drops the ball. Now that he's catching the ball, he's getting fed. So
I think we're going to look back, and Quinton Johnston will easily be the best waiver wire pickup this year, almost in every league, I think. So I think you're right. He's been sensational, and I don't know how you could go the other way now. I'm still buying low on Ladd. I will say that, but I think this reminds me, Bogman. I haven't really heard anyone saying this, but this reminds me of go back. What year was that? I want to say 2018, 2019, when the Rams had Cooper Kupp before he was an absolute dog, Brandon Cooks, and Robert Woods. You're just gonna have to play all 3 of them. They're all wide receiver 2s-ish, wide receiver 3-ish range. And some of them are just going to have bad days once in a while when the Chargers fail like they did here. So
if they're just wide receiver 3s or flexes for you, you're okay. Just understand you're playing the swing.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Let's go out to Los Angeles for the Rams, who come out on top of the Colts 27-20. Really, really fun game, man. I love watching the Colts play this year. And I mean, pile on my face, pile on our guy Terrell Furman Jr.'s face as well. I know he had a ticket on the Colts to be the worst team in the NFL. I have a big parlay with them to miss the playoffs. Looks like the only leg that I might miss on that. But Daniel Jones, pretty solid day for him. Had a couple bad turnovers here, but 24 for 33 through the air, 262 and a score. JT did his thing, 17 for 76. Did also see 5 receptions and 20 yards, which that was a big thing coming into the season when I thought Anthony Richardson would be the quarterback. Was would JT still have any passing game utilization because he didn't last year. But our guy Tyler Warren, 5 for 70 through the air, got a score on the ground as well on 2 carries. a little bit of a down game for a couple of these, Colts pass catchers. Josh Downs, 4 for 24. Wanted to see a little bit more there, but MPJ, 541, got the score again. So I really like that. And then what can you say about the Rams, man? Matthew Stafford has been slinging it. I mean, first of all, the Colts did you see that Tutu Atwell touchdown? Boggs running wide open, 1 for 88, got the score there late to put the Rams
most
up.
Tutu Atwell stat line ever.
Right? Yeah, on 2 targets, yeah. And then Kyron Williams, continues to do his thing, 8 on the ground, 13 for 77.
I'm just embarrassed by Adonai. I mean,
oh well, yeah, we can get to that. I mean, just that's your boy, and he cost him big here twice, two big touchdowns called back because of him. Blake Corum did eat a little bit, 9 for 21, so at least saw volume here. I want to talk about the Rams pass catchers, though. Devontae, a little bit limited. I don't know if you have snap counts for the Rams yet on this game, Boggs, but 6 targets, 4 and 56 through the air, 1 touchdown. And then also, Puka Nacua, man, if we're redrafting today, is he the first overall pick? 15 targets, 13 receptions, 170 yards, career high, and 1 touchdown for Mr. Nacua.
I mean, I don't hate it. I'll say that.
Who else
I don't
would you
know
take
if
above him, man? He was falling out of the He was falling out of the first round too, man. It's
maybe
crazy.
McCaffrey if he's healthy, right? But I wouldn't do that. But yeah, Puka is outstanding right now. And I feel like it was a legit concern because I don't have any Puka because I did have that concern. Him and Devontae Adams were both like, number 1 and number 2 in first read. And it was like, okay, well, who's going to get it? Well, it's clearly Puka, right? Like they're just sticking with Puka and he is great. He does have a sordid injury history as well, but when he's healthy, he's the man. That's why I'd say him and Christian McCaffrey, both these injured guys, when they're playing early in the season, they're great, right? So, Puka just continues to be great. And I don't think much is going to change there. It's still going to be Kyron. I know Corum got involved a little bit more, and they're trying to involve him a little bit more. It doesn't matter. All the touchdowns go to Kyron.
Yep.
Kyron's the better running back between the two of them. So, I mean, the Rams offense is the Rams offense, and I didn't start Stafford in the league this week, and I should have because he had a great game here. So.
Is Pittman top 24 wide receiver rest of the way for you? 10 targets today?
Yeah, I mean, he's at least on that borderline, right?
Okay.
Because he's not – they have so many weapons, and JT is number 1, so he's not in that, like, for sure every week. But I think rostering him and expecting him to be a number 2 is a reasonable expectation, yes.
Rest of season, Tyler Warren, top 3 tight end, I would say top 3, 4, depending on how you cut it with Kraft, probably. McBride, Bowers, Warren, Kraft.
I mean, he's just
the top 4, yeah.
You don't need to wax poetic on your guy here, but I mean, I talked about it before the season. Like the thing that makes him so good is he's such a weapon in the red zone. He can throw the ball too. He played quarterback in high school. He will throw a touchdown at some point this year.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he ran one in this week, and he's one of the top target getters on this team. So, yes, just continuing to be a top 5 tight end for the rest of the year.
I'm going to do an episode on the IBT podcast this week, Boggs, redrafting the first round today. Where's JT in that first round, you think, for you? Top 5?
Man. I'm always
you were the one.
I'm the apologist.
Yep.
I'm a JT apologist. He's one of the best running backs I've ever seen in my life. But he's another one of those guys. Great when he's healthy, right?
Yeah.
The ankle has turned in every season, I feel like, and he's missed a handful of games. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm knocking on wood.
Yeah.
I have way too many shares for him to get hurt, so we don't want it to happen. But I think redrafting right now, it makes a lot of sense to have those guys at the very top.
Quick reminder to please join our Fantasy Pros Discord community. You can chat with other fans and get access to exclusive AMAs that actually wind up on our podcast feed. Our current schedule looks like this. We got Worm and Fitz at 5 Eastern the first Tuesday of every month. Boggs and Fitz at 5 Eastern on the third Tuesday of every month. And then Welsh and Erickson, they're on with you every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Come get your questions answered and be on the show at fantasypros.com/chat. Let's get some more game recaps here, starting in Santa Clara, where the 49ers, they dropped their first game of the season 21-26 with the Jacksonville Jaguars coming out on top. I mean, this was a game from the Jaguars that, like, I don't know who wanted to win this, right? I mean,
I lost we get 2 strikes in the Survivor League I'm in, and we just lost one.
Oh, really? Okay.
The Welsh and I. Yeah, that's the Pentathlon League because the Niners dropped this one. Who would have thought? Like, I thought it was pretty safe. You're all the way across the different side of the country, and they have to go to you and play a late start. It seemed pretty safe for the Niners, and Just disappointing here, but I loved ETN having a big game. Another disappointment from Brian Thomas Jr., though.
Yeah, I mean, 7 targets for him. So again, he's still seeing volume, but just not making the most of it. And like, I just have to say it, dude. Like, as someone, you and I, who really enjoy college football and we remember what Trevor Lawrence was, he's just not that good at NFL throwing, man. Like, he just
this was it. And I still think there's time, but he has to be a completely different player than what he has been. This is a nice start, getting a win here on the road in San Francisco and completing more than 50% of your passes.
Just misses throws too much, though.
He does. You're right.
Like, he puts it on the back shoulder when it should be on the front shoulder, and like it makes no sense to me. I think
Urban Meyer and Peterson might have wrecked this guy. So we'll see. But a better result for him this game, but he didn't provide us any great pass catchers here. Strange was okay for your PPR and it's end, 6 for 45, but Travis Hunter still only had 3 for 42.
I want to see the snap share for Hunter. I'm excited to see kind of what with that, because it felt like he was on the offensive side of the field a bit more this week than he was in previous weeks. So would you buy BTJ low at this point? Like, because you can get him at rock bottom prices. Like, we're never going to see this price again. I think I might at this point, even though I'm
still buying low.
T-Law.
Yes.
Yeah, same.
Just too talented to do this the entire year, in my opinion. So I'm absolutely buying low. And by the way, just to look at the Jaguar snap share for you, Seth, it would be Washington at 58 of 68, Brian Thomas at 54 of 68, and then Travis Hunter down a little bit, 38 of 68, 23 routes run
better.
Though. And those
better,
only 6 fewer routes than both Washington and Thomas.
That's good.
They both only ran 29. So his share is increasing on the offensive side, at least.
For the 49ers here, Boggs, like same old Christian McCaffrey. Not a great day on the ground, but did end up getting a score through the air, 6 for 92 when it came to pass catching work for McCaffrey there. Brock Purdy, I wasn't expecting big things for Purdy in this game just because I was worried with him coming back from that injury, right? 22 of 38, 309 yards. Did have 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions as well. And I think a big part of the struggle here a little bit is Ricky Pearsall went out, 4 for 46, was looking good before that. And Jawan Jennings just can't stay on the field either, man. He's in and out of the injury tent.
He shouldn't have played today. He was too hurt coming in.
Yeah.
Pearsall got banged up during this game. They're down Kittle. This is why, I just don't trust. I mean, Welsh has put out the great memes of the Scarlet Witch, absorbing the energy of her enemies and saying Christian McCaffrey, what he has to do to the Niners to stay healthy, right? But I mean, another 56 snaps, and it was 10 for Brian Robinson, right?
Garbage.
Like, the workload is too big for Christian McCaffrey. I feel like he's going to break. This is why I don't have him anywhere, but he's great right now.
Yeah.
But I like, this whole thing is not sustainable. Hopefully Pearsall is back. Hopefully Kittle is back soon as well, and they get these pieces back, and this whole thing can look better. But it's all Christian McCaffrey now with everybody hurt, and I just don't feel like that's sustainable.
Let's go to Las Vegas, where, oh man, what a disappointment this was if you're a Raiders fan. 24-25. They have the game-winning field goal on deck. It's blocked by Chicago. And this was a game where Geno Smith, he continues to think he has the best arm in the world and is always trying to fit it in these crazy tight places with double coverage. It doesn't work out. 14 for 21, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for Geno Smith. Brock Bowers, 5 for 46, so he hasn't been hitting his props either. Jacoby Myers, 4 for 30, disappointing for him. Trey Tucker, pretty much a nothing burger. Was involved slightly in the run game a little bit too, but this was really the Ashton Genty Joe Boo game, right? That's what we said all week. and he came through 21 for 138 and 1 on the ground. Didn't hit my 2 receptions prop, but of course had 2 receptions and got both in the end zone, Bogman. So fun day for Ashton Genty managers, but the rest of the Raiders pass catching group, what do you make of it? Because there's a lot of people I'm seeing right here on twitch.tv/fantasypros worrying a little bit about what we've seen out of Brock Bowers and company right now from a receiving standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, it is concerning, but I'll say, I'm not worried about Bowers much at all. Like, if I can buy him anywhere for 90 cents on the dollar, 85 cents on the dollar,
you could get it.
Yeah, I'm going after him. I just think that they're gonna figure this out. Like, it's still Geno's first year in Vegas. He's still working stuff out with his new guys. And Bowers was banged up last week, remember? So I bet he's probably still not playing it up quite 100%. But I think next week he's going to be good to go. So I'm still high on Bowers. I was still high on Genti. Like you said, we got what we wanted from him. I think Geno is just going to be hit or miss. This is what Geno has been in his entire career.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. And it does. I mean, it hurts everybody, right? But this is what Geno is. To me, he makes the right throws 90% of the time, but he makes a terrible mistake in the worst time you expect it every single time. So this week was just all bad. The 3 picks were all bad picks, all throws he shouldn't have had, and they quit letting him throw the ball. They only let him throw it 21 times. So I think that was a big part of it, was he made the mistakes early. Plus, 27 minutes of possession here is not great either.
Yeah, I think for the Bears here too, pretty disappointing game from Caleb Williams, just from a pretty good matchup standpoint, right? 1 interception, 1 touchdown, just 212 yards through the air on 37 attempts. And
everybody's having the Cowboys hangover, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Like Russell Wilson got benched after smoking the Cowboys. And then here we had Caleb not look nearly as good after facing the Cowboys.
Well, and the pass catchers kind of suffered a little bit too. Like Rome salvaged his day again with a touchdown, 4 for 69. You'll take that and a score from a guy who was a 5th, 6th round pick. Obviously, I think still has wide receiver 1 upside the rest of the way. DJ Moore, though, 4 for 38. Debro liked him as a nice little sleeper start potentially, but only 5 targets, isn't involved as much as we'd like. Like, where's DJ Moore rest of the season? Is he a flex? Like, I mean, if we're redrafting today, he's got to be probably wide receiver 30 plus?
Yeah, I think he's a wide receiver 3.
And Rome's top 15 wide receiver?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Probably wide receiver.
I think Rome's just better, man. You can see it out there.
It's working better. The new system, he's definitely the guy there. So, and I think that's going to continue. And even, Cole Kmet had 9 targets in this game, and they'll split those up between him and Loveland, but Loveland was out.
Is he worth a start if Loveland is out, at least a stream? Yeah. Okay.
I think so in most cases, unless you have one of those top tight ends that we talked about, Tucker Kraft, Brock Bowers, your boy Tyler Warren. Unless you have an upper echelon tight end, I think we're definitely rolling Kmet right now.
Okay, let's go ahead and close things out here at the Chiefs 37 over the Baltimore Ravens 20. Again, we saw Lamar go down in this one when this game was still within slightly grasp, but didn't really matter for the Ravens here. 8 for 42 on the ground for Derrick Henry. I saw our boy Worm was pretty upset, saying this guy's average 7 yards a tote, and we're not giving it to him. So that was pretty disappointing. Zay Flowers kind of salvaged his day late there, 7 for 74. I'm seeing some love for Justice Hill in the chat, who did find the end zone not once but twice in this game, Boggs. Can we kind of shut that down a little bit? Because Justice Hill always has these couple games where he might find the end zone a time or two. But
they want to reward him because he's the best pass blocking running back in the league, right? And that's what he does for Lamar. So they don't give him the ball a lot. He's back there to protect Lamar. So, they want to feed him. They want to get him scores, and they did it twice here in a loss. So I'm not running to the hills to pick him up, though. I mean, he still only had 8 touches.
Would you be buying Derrick Henry low? Not a great day for him. Again, held under 10 fantasy points for back-to-back weeks now just because of the game script here a little bit. Do you think this gets straightened out, or is the Ravens defense so bad, especially losing, I believe, Nate Wigginton to a pretty serious-looking injury at the cornerback position? Like, is this something that maybe Derrick Henry can't overcome this, like his final season with the Titans, where the defense was just so bad that he's not going to be in positive game scripts?
I'm going to wait 3 more weeks and try to buy him really low, because the next 2, they have a brutal schedule to start the year, by the way. Buffalo, then Cleveland, that was their 1 win, then Detroit, then Kansas City. Now they have Houston and the Rams, then a bye week, right? And that's they got to play Pittsburgh twice down the stretch. So, this is just a really bad schedule for them right now. So, I would be willing to buy low right now, but I think
would you sell low if you're a Derrick Henry manager and you're 1-3 or 0-4?
I don't think so.
Just ride it out.
I mean, I would probably write it out. I would, at least if I'm that bad, everything's for sale. Like, true. We can go ahead and see what you're going to offer me, and I'll take a deal that helps my team, but I don't think you're going to get it.
Okay.
So
for the Chiefs here, Mahomes, really strong game for him here. 4 touchdowns, 270 yards. You love to see that. Rushing came back down to earth like I kind of predicted it would at some point. But Isaiah Pacheco looked pretty nice in this one, 7 for 35 on the ground. And then also came through in the receiving game as well, 2 for 13 and a score. So that was great.
Still only had 9 touches.
Yeah. So kind of tough pill to swallow there. Xavier Worthy looked nice though. 8 targets, 5 for 83 in his return to the field with that shoulder injury.
Also had 38 rushing yards on 2.
Yeah.
Over 100 total yards. Not bad.
And Kelsey, like almost 10 PPR points, which is like good for Kelsey these days. So any takeaways for the Chiefs? Like Thornton found the end zone again, but it was on 2 targets. Like I don't really think we can trust any of these guys except like you're starting Kelsey if you're having at tight end probably because you don't have anything better. You're starting probably Worthy at this point because I liked what he saw there, but I don't really want to start either of these running backs. Kareem Hunt, 13 totes on the ground.
It sucks. The whole thing sucks. And I think I haven't seen snaps yet, but Brashard Smith played a little bit more early as well.
Yeah.
So it's now a gross 3-headed mix. Better than Washington because the offense is better than Washington, right? But that's it. That's the only reason. It's not because the backs are better. It's because the whole offense is better. So it stinks until they start giving somebody the workload. And I think that guy is Mr. Outside Hire, whoever they draft next year.
Yeah.
I don't think they're on the roster right now. I think it's going to be this gross mix
Nicholas
for the
Singleton?
Foreseeable future.
Nicholas
Could
Singleton,
Quinshon Allen,
the Hardy for the Missouri
Ahmad
right
Hardy.
now.
Dude, that guy is a pinball.
He reminds me of Scadaboo a little bit, actually. Kind of. The
I
way
don't think
plays.
he's eligible for this year, though.
Oh, really? Is he that young? Okay.
I think he might be.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll keep that one in our CFF streets for a couple more years then. Want to get to a quick question before we get out of here from Moorism. Rosters: Hurts, McCaffrey, Genty, Scadaboo, QJ, Worthy, Dart, Pacheco, JCM, Franklin, Io Manor, half-point PPR, need an upgrade at wide receiver. Who should I trade / target? What do you think here from our friend Manurism? Like, are you maybe trying to get out of Pacheco when you can get a little bit of value for him right now?
Yeah, if you can get out from under Pacheco and you can get a decent wide receiver, I would do that. But I think the guy that you're probably going to get the most for is Scadaboo right now. And that offense takes a major hit with Nabers. And listen, I've been the Scadaboo guy the entire offseason, and I still love him. But this whole offense takes a massive dip without Malik Nabers. So
can they go trade for Calvin Ridley maybe or something like that. I think
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Let's get another playmaker. Let's do something.
Yeah.
I like that idea. But I think Scadaboo is the guy right now if that you want to sell high on to fix that wide receiver spot.
I mean, you could get a ton for Genty, but I'm not selling Genty. No way. I can't do it.
I don't think you're selling Genty and you're not selling CMC. I would do that, but I think it's insane to recommend people to do it. So I'm not going to I'm not going to recommend you do that. So Scadaboo is the guy I would trade out of that group.
Absolutely. Just for a quick reminder before we get out of here as well, the team here at Fantasy Pros will be with you every week on Twitch for the foreseeable future. Out of Bounds with Joe Welsh and Bogman himself. That will be back for you on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. The Welsh and Boggs are also back with you for 2 hours at 12 p.m. Eastern time each Tuesday, playing Madden 26, answering your questions live right here. And then D-Bro, myself, we're back with you Thursdays, 1 p.m. Eastern time, Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern time for more Q&As. And then we also have a start-sit Q&A coming for you every Sunday at noon Eastern as well. It was a lot of fun with you guys over there in the chat earlier today. I appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Thank you so much as well for hanging out with us right here on twitch.tv/fantasypros tonight. We really appreciate that. If you want to support the channel, watch us ad-free and get boosted odds for winning our giveaways, make sure you're subscribing. We really, really appreciate that. And that is going to do it for us on this episode of the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast. A reminder, we'll be live next week on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribing there and giving this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this type of content. Let us know down below in the comments as well your biggest fantasy football winners and losers for week 4. For Scott Bogman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all.
Scadaboo.
Little suit and tie action today, Boggs. Little suit and tie. Winners wear suits. Let's start
like
that here.
A character from Righteous Gemstones.
Winners wear suits, baby.
Okay.